welcome to session 1 of your Pilates series. So my name's Emma Jayne, and I'm going to take you through a series of exercises designed to tone your core, your powerhouse, your center, to strengthen your spine, to relax you, to center yourself, to focus you, to challenge your balance, to challenge your core, and lengthen, relax, all those things in one. So I'm going to talk about setup to start with. That's the most important thing when we're going to do any Pilates. So this is the setup of your spine, your breathing, and the position of your abdominals, where to draw that navel in towards the spine too. So there's a lot of information. So we're going to start with something really simple, and I want you to imagine that you've got a bucket of water and it's sat in your hips. So this is the water and it's level, and you're going to now allow the water to tip out the front of the bucket. So you're going to arch the back. See that big arch into my lower back here. Now we're going to allow the water to spill out the back of the bucket. So I'm going to tilt under, pushing my hips towards the front of the room. Now I'm going to rock between these 2 points of tilting and arching, so the water spills out the front of the bucket and out the back of the bucket, and I'm going to make the movement smaller and smaller till the water is level in the bucket, so I'm neither tilting or arching. This is your natural or neutral spine, and I want you to do that little analogy whenever you can, whenever you feel that you've lost that position. You can also do this lying down on the floor. I like to do it standing. This is part of the setup before we go into the warm-up, so it's really important you get that right position and try not to slope into tilting into your lower back again. Just lengthen into your lower back, draw that tailbone down towards the heels. Make sure you're not hunching round through the shoulders. So maintain that position, your neutral or natural spine. When you feel like you've found it, draw your shoulders up and melt them down the spine, creating a nice soft scapular V. Now we're going to set up our breathing. You're going to place one hand under your belly button, so into your lower abdominals, transverse abdominals. Shoulders relaxed. You're going to imagine you're wearing a belt with 10 notches on. You're going to breathe in through the nose. As you breathe out through the mouth, you're going to tighten that belt as much as you can to the tightest button. Okay, tightest notch. So notch 10, hold it there. It feels quite uncomfortable and your rib cage is flared up. You're drawing that navel in towards the spine. Now release it out to notch 5. So release the belt halfway. Now release the belt to notch 3. And now completely take the belt off and let the abdominals go. Big difference, okay? Again, breathe in. On the out breath, draw that belly into notch 10. That feels almost too tight. Release it halfway to notch 5. Release it to notch 3, and you're gonna hold it at notch 3. This just means that we're working at 30%. So we're drawing that navel in at 30%, drawing that navel in towards the spine, rolling those shoulders down and maintaining that neutral position through the spine. This is your setup. The last thing I want to add is your breathing, okay? Don't get too stressed about this. If this is your first time, just focus on correct alignment. But in time, it's really important to get the breathing right. So place one hand on your rib cage, one hand under your belly button. You're going to take a breath in. As you inhale, you're going to let your rib cage, you're going to feel that rib cage push out to the side of the room like an accordion is expanding. Now release, and it releases back down, it shrinks. And again, inhale, rib cage pushes up and out, exhale, and it releases. And I want you to practice doing this without taking any breath all the way down into the stomach. So essentially, you're breathing into the top end of the lung, or thoracically. So in Pilates, it's known as thoracic breathing. One more, breathe in. Allow your rib cage to lift up and out. Exhale, release. But the tummy stays nice and still. Nothing affects this lower part of the abdominals. Okay? So once your setup is in place, you're good to go. Let's take it into a roll down. So I want you to have your feet hip width apart. I want you to draw your shoulders back. Draw the navel in towards the spine. And we're going to begin by taking the chin down towards the chest. So drop that chin in towards the chest. Roll the shoulders down and start to roll vertebrae by vertebrae down towards that mat. Now very slowly restock each vertebrae one on top of the other. Shoulders down. The last thing to come up is the head. And again, chin comes down to the chest. So from the side, your setup is in place. Chin comes down to the chest. Now roll the shoulders. Push that lower back towards the back of the room and try not to push the weight through the heels. Keep the weight centered between the balls of the feet and your heels. Now roll up, restack the vertebrae one by one. Shoulders relaxed. Good, let's do 2 more like this. Chin down towards the chest. Roll down to the spine. As you're rolling down, be aware of any areas of tension in your spine as you roll. Let's do 1 more. Chin comes down to the chest. Roll through the vertebrae one by one. The arms are relaxed in front of the body like a rag doll, releasing any tension into the top of the head. This should feel nice. Just let the head hang and roll up. Nice and slowly. And the last thing to come up is your head. Take a rise onto the balls of the feet. Feel that balance. Hold for a moment. You want to stay centered. You don't want to roll the feet in or out. You want to come straight up through that center line and return. Let's do a couple more like this. Lengthen up through the center of the feet and come back down. And again, let's do 2 more. Lengthen up and hold and release. And we're going to do 1 more. Hold at the top and release. Now take the weight between both feet as if you're treading water. And then just roll the shoulders up and melt them down the spine, releasing any tension into your shoulder girdle. 2 more and 1 more. And take your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. Let's mobilize into the mid-spine. Let's just allow ourselves to swing. The arms are free. Your heel peels away from the mat. And you just swing side to side, just waking up through your mid-spine. Come to the center. Let's finish with a couple of swing throughs. We're going to take the arms up. You're going to bend the knees and you're going to release and come up to the top. And release. Let the head go and lift. Let's do 2 more. Release, keeping the knees soft and lift. And 1 more. Release and come center. Bring your feet together now and take your arms out to the side. You're going to take your right leg up in line with your hip, keeping your shoulders down. As you exhale, you're going to take a twist to the right and you're going to hold, and then you're going to come all the way back to the center. Now you might find that you're a little bit wobbly and your balance is off. If that's the case, bring the foot down and still twist, but don't let that knee move and come back to the center. If you're really short of space, you can bring the hands together in prayer position and twist that way. So adapt it as you will. Let's do 1 more to the side. Exhale as you twist. Inhale as you come center. And step your foot down. Opposite leg, left leg comes up now. Drop your shoulders. Exhale, take a twist. Inhale, come center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Remember, you can always lower that foot if you need to. 2 more, breathing out and center. And your last one, exhale, twist and center and release. Okay, we're now going to come into a roll down push-up. I'm going to demonstrate this from the side. We've already been through the roll down. So together, we're going to come to the bottom of our mats. Shoulders are relaxed. You're going to make sure you're in your neutral spine so you're not tilting or hunching through your center. Drawing that navel in at that 30%. Shoulders down, feet hip width apart. Chin rolls down to chest. We roll vertebrae by vertebrae. At the bottom of the movement, you're going to walk the hands out. You're going to come onto your knees. You're going to come into a box push-up like so. And you're going to bend the elbows and you're just going to bring the chin down towards the mat and come back to the center. And you're going to walk the hands back nice and slowly. Heels to the mat. Roll up and restack the vertebrae. Drawing that navel in towards the spine. Rising onto the balls of the feet and lowering. Now, if you want to challenge yourself further, the chin comes down towards the chest. Instead of coming into a box push-up, walk the hands out and come into a half push-up. So walk the hands a little bit further forward. Wrists are directly under your shoulders. Draw the navel in towards the spine. And when you come into your push-up here, you lead with the head and you lower. Head stays in line with the spine and you come back to the center. Please try not to let this happen. You don't want to let your lower back dip And you don't want to stick the bottom in the air and do this either, because you're not actually working your upper body, okay? You could do this with no hands, okay? You want your weight forward enough so that if your hands were to be, what's the word? If somebody was to kind of grab your hands from underneath you, you would fall flat on your face. So you want your body weight forward, basically. You want that set up through the spine, and then you're going to lower, inhale, and you exhale as you push up. Walk the hands back, tuck your toes under, draw the heels towards the mat, forehead to shins, come through your roll up, vertebrae by vertebrae. And at the top, rise onto the balls of the feet. Let's do 2 more like this. Chin comes down towards the chest, roll down through the spine. Bend the knees, walk the hands out, wrists directly under your shoulders, head in line with the spine. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Let's do 2. Exhale, lift. Walk the hands back. Tuck your toes under. Try not to rock side to side as you walk the hands back. Roll up. And this next one is your last one. Chin to chest. Let's roll down. Releasing tension through the shoulders as you roll. Bending the knees, walking the hands out. Head in line with the spine. Draw that navel in towards the spine. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. 1 more. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Sit the bottom back onto the heels and breathe. Okay, I'd like you to come onto all fours now. So let's just transition. Knees underneath the hips, hands directly under the shoulders, and your head is in line with the spine. I want you to really start to become familiar where your transverse abdominals are. So that setup that you've put in place, if you didn't know where they are before, you probably will after this exercise called the bear. So let's tuck the toes under. Let's hover both knees 1/2 inch away from the mat and hold. Now you should feel a tightening into your lower abdominals. That's exactly where you need to be drawing that navel in towards the spine. Remember that 30% that we've set up, head is in line with the spine, and you're just going to hold, but you want to keep those knees hovered and not lifted up high. So knees hovered. If you wish to challenge yourself further, you can lift 1 foot or so away from the mat and continue to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, relax, and then bring the knees down and sit the bottom back onto the heels. Coming back onto all fours now, I'd like us to come into an exercise called swimming. Your head is in line with the spine. I want you to imagine you've got a glass of water on each hip bone and a glass of water on each shoulder blade. As you exhale, you're going to lengthen opposite arm and opposite leg away from the center line and come back. As you do so, you're going to make sure that you're not spilling a drop of water, and those glasses on your hips and shoulders would stay absolutely still. What you want to avoid is this, where you're reaching and there's a twist in the center. So you're moving the extremities, and it's as if the center is in a block of ice, so you can't move it. Let's do 4 more. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale, center. The whole time pulling in through the center, keeping that connection. Let's do 2 more. No twisting through your center. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale, center. And again, exhale, lengthen. Inhale, center. And sit the bottom back onto the heels. Well done. Okay, now I'd like you to come onto your side. We're going to come into an exercise called side bend. I want you to bring your elbow directly under your shoulder. Make sure your elbow is under your shoulder and not out here. So you want to correctly support that. Palm of the hand is flat, fingertips pointing towards the screen, and your knees are bent, heels are in line with your bottom. So we've got the correct position to start with. You're going to lift your hips up to the sky, lifting up and lowering back down. What we want to avoid is twisting forward. If you can bring an arm in, lengthen up as if you're painting a rainbow, and then come back down to the center, just touching down with the hips. And again, exhale, lengthen up and over. We hold at the top. Inhale, lower. And again, exhale, lengthen up and hold. Inhale, release. And again, breathing out. Exhale, lengthen. Keep that head in line with the spine. Inhale, lower. Let's do 4 more from here. Lengthen over and hold. And come center. 3, exhale, lengthen, hold. And release. 2 more. Exhale as you lift. Inhale as you come center. And 1 more. Lengthen up, over. And release, come center. Release any tension in that shoulder. Just flip over to the other side. And let's repeat the exercise. Again, your setup for this is elbow directly under the shoulder, knees bent, heels in line with your bottom. Alignment is so important with Pilates, head in line with the spine. Remember, if this is the first time you're doing this, you might want to support your hand onto the mat, and then you might want to bring the hand here before you lift it up. If you feel ready to introduce the arm, float the arm up as if you're painting a rainbow, and then come back to the center. And again, exhale, lengthen up, over, nice big stretch, and center. Feel that weightlessness under your arm, as if there's an inflatable ball under your arm, and then you're lengthening over. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Good, let's do 4 more from here. Breathing out, lift those hips. Inhale, feel that weightlessness through the hips. Up and lower. Imagine a piece of string attached to those hips, and it's just lifting you up to the sky and gently back down. And your last one, exhale, lift. Inhale, release, and come up, releasing any tension into your shoulder blade. And we're going to come into the roll down. So here, or roll up, sorry. Knees bent. So you're going to have your feet hip width apart, shoulders relaxed, and you're going to make sure your shoulders are directly over your hips. You're going to take your palms out facing each other, and we're going to begin by tilting the pelvis underneath. So we're going to lose that neutral spine for a moment. We're holding here. We're going to keep the shoulders over the hips. Let's tilt, making a nice soft C shape into the spine. We lower the vertebrae 1 by 1. Now you might find that you can only come to here before you start shaking. If that's the case, hold, and then slowly bring the shoulders back over the hips and give me a little lift at the top. And again, we scoop through the center. We lower. We hold. And we come up. If you feel that you're able to go further, follow me, or you can stay with just lowering segment by segment with the vertebrae. If you want to come lower, let's go with control. Tilt the pelvis under. Keep that segmental control as you lower. Don't suddenly drop that spine onto the mat. Keep it controlled. Take the arms over the head. Inhale. As you exhale, the arms float over the head. Imprint the spine. Push the lower back into the mat. Shoulders over the hips. And then lift at the top of the movement. And again, scoop first. Lower with control. Now watch when you take the arms over the head that you're not allowing your lower back to arch from the mat. You want to maintain that neutral position. Your rib cage is soft. Try not to flare that rib cage up. Push the lower back into the mat and lift at the top. And again, scoop, lower. So as you're doing this, I'm just going to talk you through a few watch points. Be very careful that you don't get to here and all of a sudden arch your back. That's a big no-no. You want to maintain the neutral position as the arms float over. You want to make sure the chest isn't lifting, the chest is soft. Exhale, imprint. Push the lower back into the mat and come up. Let's do 2 more from here. Scoop, draw that belly in, lower with control. Arms come over the head, lengthen and hold. Imprint that spine, push the lower back down, roll up and lift. Let's do 1 more from here. Scoop with control, lower. Arms over the head. Imprint the spine. And release. Just relax. Good. Okay, we're going to come into now the dead bug. This is sometimes referred to, or leg float. So, you're going to relax, or scissors. Lots of different names for it. But essentially, we're challenging our neutral spine. Knees bent, feet hip width apart, palms down by your side. Tilt the chin down to the chest, keeping the back of the neck long. Making sure you're in a neutral position, we take the toe in line with the knee in line with the hip. We lift this opposite leg also, and we maintain that position. So your lower back is in neutral. You're not arching the lower back from the floor. You're not pushing the lower back down. The best way to imagine it is there's a little row of ants that are trying to get underneath your spine, and there's enough gap for them just to literally go one end and come out the other end. You're not crushing them. You're not giving them a massive gap, just a little one. Okay, so you're in your neutral spine. You're going to exhale. You're going to lower that foot to the mat. Inhale, come center, whilst keeping this nice position through your center that we set up. So 30%, your spine is contracted. Sorry, your abdominals are contracted, your spine is in neutral. Inhale. Now, if this is too strong for you and you're starting to shake, simply lower one foot to the mat. Take away some of the tension and continue to lower and lift. So you're still working. You're not allowing this position in your lower back to be compromised. Exhale, lower, inhale, lift. Breathing out and center. If you feel that you're able to maintain this position with both legs lifted, continue. But make sure that there's no arching of that lower back, no doming of the abdominals, no flaring of that chest, no shaking. If all this starts to happen, simply float one foot down. Let's do 4 more. 4 and back. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you come center. Let's do 2 more. No change to the pressure in your lower back. Everything is nice and still. We're breathing thoracically. 1 more. Exhale, lower. Inhale, center. And then bring both knees into the chest. Gentle rock side to side. And let's come into our shoulder bridge. Shoulder bridge is toes, knees hip width apart, palms down by your side. Spine is in neutral. I'm deliberately going to ask you to lose neutral for the beginning of this exercise. I'm going to ask you to imprint your spine. So if you can see my lower back, I push the lower back into the mat. So you know we talked about those ants? You're going to crush the ants now. So tilt the pelvis under, push the lower back into the mat, and as you do so, lift the bottom, followed by the rest of the vertebrae, one by one. So you come all the way up to the top and hold. Now very slowly, replace each vertebrae one by one in reverse until you roll back to neutral and the movement starts again. Let's go. Tilt the pelvis under. Push the lower back into the mat. Lift the bottom all the way up to the top and hold. Now very slowly replace the vertebrae one by one. Back down onto the mat and roll back to neutral. Try to make sure the knees don't relax to the outside of the room. A little tip is you can place a book or if you've got a foam roller or a cushion between your legs to make sure that you don't relax them and drop it. So this is the position you need to maintain. Tilt the pelvis under, come all the way up to the top and hold. Keep the feet down, keep the palms down by your side, and lower vertebrae by vertebrae. Let's do 2 more like this. Tilt the pelvis under, rolling all the way up. Hold at the top, little pause. Slowly lower. This is really good for any lower back niggles. 1 more. In, imprint, peel the spine off, hold at the top, and then very slowly replace the vertebrae one by one, making sure the lower back touches the floor before the bottom does. Bring the knees into the chest, gentle rock, side to side. Roll over onto your side now, we're going to come into our side kick. So I want you to extend your palm onto the mat. I want you to relax your head down and float both legs away from the floor so you're balancing. Okay, one hand can be in front, or I prefer to say one fingertip, so you're not relying on the whole hand, just one fingertip like a stabilizer. Keep both legs lifted so you're on those hips, but you can see your toes in front of you. This ensures that your spine maintains that neutral position. Now, as you exhale, you're going to have a go at floating that top leg forward towards me and bringing it back in line with the lower leg. The whole time, you're stretching those toes and those legs as if you're trying to get those feet to touch the wall opposite you. It's like you're trying to grow your legs longer. Exhale. Inhale. Now you really need to pull in through your center to maintain this balance. Use your palm also for the counterbalance. Push it into the mat. The head is nice and neutral, relaxed, in line with the spine. You exhale and you inhale. And there's no rocking through your lower body. You're not swinging that leg. It's nice and controlled. And if you need to, you bring one fingertip in front just to stabilize. Let's do 4 more here. Really lengthen, so draw the muscle in towards the bone. Remember, the lower leg is lifted off the mat, challenging your balance. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, leg floats forward. Inhale, comes center. Exhale, leg comes forward. Inhale, center. Float your top leg down, float both legs down. Bend the knees, give a little bit of a rub or hit into your hips, glutes, tops of the glutes. We're going to come to the other side now and repeat that exercise. So lengthen, make sure your palm is extended. Look down so you can see your toes, relax your head, float both legs away from the floor, fingertip in front, and exhale, come forward. Inhale, come back. Exhale, forward. Inhale, back. Remember, if you feel that you can take that hand away, do so. And come center. Breathing out. Breathing in. Really lengthen all the way down those legs. Exhale. Let's do 4 more from here. 4. And come back. No movement through the center. 3. Last 2. Keep lengthening that lower leg off the mat. 2. And center. 1 more. Don't be surprised if on one side you're a little bit more wobbly. We'll have a stronger side. And release down. Bend the knees. Give a little bit of a rub. And just come onto your tummy now. We're going to come into swan dive. So I want you to have your arms out to the side. So from an aerial view, you would be in like a capital E position or like a fork. Your forehead is down. The reason we have the forehead down is you want the back of the neck to be nice and long. So chin down towards the chest. Imagine you've got a ruler on your spine. You don't want to snap the ruler by lifting your head. So chin stays down towards your chest. Now, that little row of ants are back. This time they're crawling underneath your tummy or marching underneath the tummy. So pull your tummy muscles in, creating a little gap for them so that you're not allowing your lower back to do this. So tilt the pelvis under slightly, chin down towards the chest, toes towards each other, release the heels to the outside of the room, relaxing the glutes. And then you're going to exhale, imagine there's a piece of string on the top of the head, lengthen up, and then gently come back down. So you're working the muscles, lengthen up into your upper back and release it down. Try and grow each space between the vertebrae as much as you can. So you want to stretch and lengthen forward. Now, as you lift and lower, you don't want to be pushing through those hands. The arms are relaxed. Exhale, lengthen. You shouldn't feel this into your lower back. If you're feeling it into your lower back, it means you're coming up too high and doing this and pinching into the lower back, which is a no-no. So, lengthen up, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. If you feel that you're able to do this without pushing through the hands, hover your hands half an inch away from the mat and lift and lower. Keep drawing that navel in towards the spine. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Let's do 2 more. Breathing out. Lengthen, back of the neck long, and lower. 1 more. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Relax the arms down and recover. Sit the bottom back onto the heels and stretch here. Okay, I'd like to finish with an exercise called seated spine twist. So we did this in the warm-up, stood up, but this is seated. So you're going to take the legs out like so. Now, if you're really tight in your hamstrings, if you've got one of those big atlases or yoga blocks, if not, just a big like chunky book will do to sit on, just stops you doing this, okay? So if your hamstrings are tight, sitting on a block will just lengthen you up and make it a little bit easier for you to sit up straight. If your hamstrings are really tight and this is really uncomfortable for you, just come into this position. So your feet are together. Don't have your heels too close into your chest because your knees will get in the way. You want to just soften those heels forward. Really sit up through your spine. Bring your palms together and your thumbs together and fingertips just under your chin and settle those thumbs onto that breastbone. Soften here. Now, similarly to what we did in the warm-up, we took a rotation, but everything stays in line. So fingertips stay in line with your chin. You're going to exhale and take a twist as far as you can. Inhale and come center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Now notice how I don't go so far and then all of a sudden whiz my head round to look in the garden. I can only go as far as my rib cage will allow. So I twist, head stays in line and come center. Exhale, twist. Inhale. This is really good if you're sat at a desk all day. Just getting that mobility into the spine. Exhale. Inhale. And remember the opposite position we had, if you feel that you're able to, is arms out. Exhale, take a twist. Inhale, center. Shoulders down. Exhale, take a twist. Inhale, center. So your variation. Let's do 4 more. Exhale. And inhale. 2 more. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. And 1 more. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. And release. Come into a forward stretch. Just walk the hands forward. And just hold here. Walk the hands back in. And bring the feet together. And let's just finish our practice. Take a breath in. Palms to the sky. Exhale. Inhale. Bring the palms together. Bring them into your heart center. And we close the practice. Thank you for training with me today. It's really important to understand that there's so many levels to Pilates. So it's really important that you start with the basics. That's getting the breathing correct. That's your neutral spine, the abdominal position, your breathing. This is known as setup. Once all those areas are together, you've got the basis to start your Pilates training. You might have found some of the exercises a little bit challenging today, or you might have found them a little bit easy, depending on where you are in your training. I'm presuming a lot of you have never done Pilates ever before, so it's like going into a karate class. You wouldn't go in at black belt just because you're fit and you've done exercise. You'd start at level 1. It's very much the same with Pilates. Once you understand the principles and you have that strong core, we can start challenging it even more to continue to strengthen it, to get stronger and stronger and stronger, so everything else moves more freely. You'll become more flexible. We'll start to add in balance challenges to start with, it's very important that we get the fundamentals. Okay, so today was about maintaining that position of your centre whilst challenging it slowly. As we go through the series, you'll notice the exercises get a little bit stronger. However, if you don't feel ready to progress, you simply stay with the fundamentals. So I'm going to layer things on. So we're going to introduce new exercises that are slightly more intense. We're going to make the ones that we've been doing today slightly more intense. So we're going to layer on each time that we have a class. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please message me. I'd love to hear from you. And stay safe and see you next time. Namaste.